This is episode 50. In the last discourse, Lord warned us, the worldly, that we should not try to own anything, not get attached to anything, but work with a detached heart because it's like a traveler. You are a traveler, you are a guest here, you are here for a short time, and a guest does not own or get attached with the host, knowing that after 2 days he is going to leave. Similarly is our life, and yet we don't think about it. We get sajjate guna karmashu, we get attached to the people, to place, to food, to environment, the weather. It is so natural, unless we control it or unless we are vigilant, we are going to get attached. It is the very nature of Maya. Like if we are in water, we are attached to water and all other qualities, we might even get drowned. So is in the Maya, it is so natural that efforts are required all the time. Now, Shri Krishna Bhagavan is telling Arjuna what he should be doing, and in this he is telling him the signs of a wise man, signs of a person who has surrendered to God. And as Arjuna says, he has surrendered, but he does not know whether he has or not. In reality, he has not. But here Shri Krishna Bhagavan says that in truth, if you are surrendered, he says, Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa, slok 30, nirashihi nirmama bhutva yuddhasva vigata jvaraha. It seems like in this one slok alone, Lord has advised us to a point where if we just pay attention to this, we will be very close to Him. He says, dedicating all actions to me, or in other words, think that I am the one who is performing and you are my ambassador or my instrument. You offered all the works that I am doing and have the goal in your heart as self-realization. Whatever the goal is, that's what we are going to reach to. If we don't have the self-realization goal, then we will have no goal. No matter what we say, except for self-realization, there is nothing in this Prakriti that you can say can be your goal. Because when goal is constantly moving, it is not a goal. It cannot be a goal, something you cannot find it, cannot hold on to it, cannot depend on it, cannot find joy in it, cannot find peace in it, cannot find love in it, cannot be the goal. And nothing of this sort in this Prakriti is put or find you be existing unless we first have our goal as self-realization. Then we will find everything appropriate in this Prakriti. As Sri Ramakrishna used to say that first when you are in a new town, first find a room, put your baggage, and then go and look around the town. Similarly, first in this life we must realize God, we must have some place to sleep, to rest, to enjoy, and then we move around in this what we call mela or fair. This is a fair, this is a lila, but we must have a place because fair will be soon over. We will get tired and we sometimes wonder what we really enjoyed. So Lord says, first have your goal as me, and once you have the goal, like a child should have mother as goal, and then mother will add everything the child needs. Mother knows what child needs, having come from mother. Similarly, Lord knows all our needs, and Lord knows that we want to be happy. He has designed it that way. So if we surrender to Him, if we ask His help, if we lie down in His lap, then we will have the opportunity to be happy. There is no other way. So He says, dedicate all your actions to me, and then as you do that, nirashihi nirmama bhutva. Again, these two words are beautiful. Without any false hope that finding happiness in this momentary world or the world that is perishable, constantly moving, unstable, and that there is nothing of peace put into it, you should not have any hope to be happy within the Prakriti, and particularly nirmamo, not owning anything, not claiming anything of yours, because even you are not yours. Your body is not yours. Your body is passing away and you cannot hold on to it. You cannot hold on to your mind. Your mind is getting away from you. You cannot control mind. You cannot control body. Then how can you claim that it is yours? So when you don't own even your own body and mind, which are subject to these five elements, then how can you say that you own the body, mind, intellect, or anything else? Certainly not others. So Lord says, without any false hope, without any attachment or ownership, yuddhasva vigata jvaraha, without feeling weak, without feeling sick or anxiety or fear or any attachment, try to fight these enemies that are standing in front of you. The enemies, the Duryodhan that represents, those are the lust and greed that we have often talked, the vanity with which he is trying to take over illegally the kingdom of Pandavas. So similarly, Lord is advising us that this we must fight. The war is inner war, and the war, in short, is always against lust and greed, which we have commonly talked. God has summarized that are three enemies we have: lust, greed, and anger, and we must fight. That is the goal of human life. That is why it is our last opportunity to overcome and get to immortality. But there are people who don't listen. Lord says the next slok, ye me matam idam nityam anutishtanti manava shraddhavanta anasuyanta muchyante te api karma bhehe. Again he says that if you do what I have told you to do, if you constantly follow this law, my matam, my not my only opinion, God's opinion and God's law and God's desire are all one and the same. In human beings, the law, the desire, these are all different, but not in the field in which God is operating, where He says that if you constantly follow my laws, yama and niyama, as we had said, the morality and all the foundation of this, serving the others selflessly, then He says, and with faith, Shraddhavanta is a faith is very important. So here we are talking about sattvic faith. After we have understood and educated ourselves, we have gone through that and we find no peace. Then when we surrender, the faith that comes after we surrender to the Lord is the faith he is talking about. That have faith that I am your guardian, I am your charioteer, I am your mother and father, I will take care of you. You must have faith in me. Without faith, no one becomes a saint. So Lord says, you must have faith and do not cavil or do not be jealous, do not be afraid. There will be certainly it will be possible for you to be free from all the karmas, because karmas or actions do bind us, and the only way to be free is to follow the law, to be faithful, and not to cavil, not to criticize Gita, not to criticize the saints who are helping us, whether we like it or not. We may say that we don't agree or we cannot practice, but to say that that does not apply or that is not right is a sign of arrogance and vanity. The least we can do is that if Lord says or if Mira says or if Buddha says, that must be right, but unfortunately we are ignorant, we are people who are full of lust and greed and ignorant because of egoism. We just can practice, and we should be sorry for it. We should ask the Lord to forgive us, and if we are wise enough, we would make attempts to change our life. However, in spite of repeatedly telling what God wants him to do, there are people who don't listen, and the next four sloks are for these worldly people who are not discriminative, they don't know right from wrong, they just continue their life like animals. They are born, they eat, they breed, they raise their children, and they die. They are doing no more than what the animals are doing or the trees and birds are doing. So for these people he says, Ye tu etat abhyasuyanta nanutishtanti me matam sarvagyan vimudhantan vidhi nashtan chetasaha. Those who cavil at my teachings, those who, this is a slok 32, those who ignore it deliberately, those who wink at my teaching, those who even try to convince others not to listen, and we have seen many people who do not want to listen and they don't want others to listen too. These are the conniving people, and so Lord says those are the people who do not follow my law, my teachings. My teaching is only out of love. I want nothing from you. I only want to give love and peace, and yet, like children and like ignorant people, they revolt against me, like Duryodhan is doing. Then all their knowledge, Sarvagyan Vimudhantan, all their knowledge is undiscriminative. It is mood, means they don't understand what is good for them and know that they are already destroyed. In other words, ignorant people, no matter how much knowledge they have, if they have ego, if they have this mamta as we call, if they have false hopes, and if they don't have the right goal, nor right actions of the body, mind, and words or the speech. When we say dedicate all words, all actions of the body, all our mental thoughts, and all the words we speak, we want to be careful that everything we speak should be dedicated to God. In other words, it should be pleasing to God. We certainly wouldn't dedicate anything God would not like. That is not dedication. Dedication always means something that is pleasing to the person whom we dedicate ourselves. So, our life should be always, and we should always question ourselves that whatever I am doing, whatever I say, is that according to the words of God? Is that pleasing to God? Is that what God wants me to do? And if we don't understand, we should pray, we should cry, we should feel sorry for ourselves, we should beg to the Lord, and we should pray day and night until God would come and help us. And He has always helped His devotees. So Lord here says that those who are mischievous, the Buddha Bhagavan used the word mischief. Sansari is basically a mischievous person. He just goes after lust and greed. Anybody who goes after lust and greed is a mischievous person according to Buddha, according to Gita also. So I would like to see what Buddha Bhagavan has to say about mischief or the worldly life, the way the worldly are living, or those who are not dedicated to God, those whose goal is not spirituality, are all included in mischievous people, people who are playing mischief. And let us see what he says. He says to these people, be quick to do good. Those who are mischievous in the sansar, if you have any wisdom, be quick to do good to yourself. If you are slow, the mind, delighting in mischief, in lust, it will catch up with you. Turn away from mischief. Again and again turn away, because again and again you do that mischief before sorrow befalls on you and death comes to you very quickly. Set your heart on doing good, good of the others, in which it is your own good. Do it over and over again until the last breath, and you will be filled with joy. A fool is happy until his mischief turns against him, and a good man may suffer until his goodness flowers. Do not make light of your failings. Don't say that, well, what is there? Don't say that they are nothing to me. A jug fills drop by drop, so the fool becomes brimful of folly drop by drop. The smaller follies that he continues adds up to a larger one pretty soon. So do not neglect just because they are small, what is wrong with it, if I just looked at it, or if I smelled, or if I just thought of it. Don't take it lightly. As we have been saying in Gita in the second chapter, Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsa, you may want to refer that chapter 2, slok 62 and 3, which is very much telling us the same thing, that if we don't control it in the beginning, it will be our destruction at the end through those 8 steps. Do not belittle your virtues. If you have virtues, thank God for this, saying, don't say that they are nothing. A jug fills drop by drop. Similarly, the wise man becomes brimful by virtue, by gradually doing little works, little good things, little help, little serving to other people. He gradually becomes a saint. As the rich merchant with few servants to defend him, he shuns a dangerous road, and the man who loves life shuns poison. Beware the danger of folly and mischief. For an unwounded hand may handle poison. The innocent come to no harm. But as dust thrown against the wind, mischief is blown back in the face of a fool who wrongs the pure and harmless. He hurts the harmless, like those people who hurt Mirabai, and we know what happened to them. They are fools. They play mischief. Some are reborn in hell, some in this world. The good are born in heaven, but the pure and the wise are never reborn. Nowhere, not in the sky, nor in the midst of the sea, nor deep in the mountains, in the caves, can you hide from your own mischief, your own lust, and your own greed, and your conniving plans. Not in the sky, nor in the midst of the ocean, nor deep in mountains, nowhere can you hide from your own death, for death will catch up with us sooner than we think. With this warning, I think we should remember that when God says that those fools who don't listen to me, they are dead. He says, Nashtana Chetasa. Exactly the same words the Buddha Bhagavan is saying, that they are dead. So is Lord Shri Krishna is saying here, all their knowledge is worthless, and no matter where they run, the end will come, for death always pursues them, and none can overcome death unless we go to the deathless. In other words, if we surrender to the deathless, then we will become immortal. सदृशं चेष्टते सस्याः प्रकृतेः ज्ञानवानपि प्रकृतिं यान्ति भूतानि निग्रह किं करिष्यति. We should all act according to our nature. In other words, we have true nature is our soul or Atman, and Prakriti has its own laws. In other words, we must follow the laws of harmony. And those who go against the laws of Prakriti or creation, then they will still come around sooner or later to what we are talking. In other words, everybody wants peace, love, and yet our actions are showing something against it. So what we are saying is our real Prakriti is peace, love, and joy. Now if we go against it, and if we try to do mischief, as we have just talked about, try to play like little children with the toys of this, our own body, we have made toys, and when we make our body a toy, then we get other bodies to play with more toys, then we create more toys. All this mischief, they say, will be not carrying us too long, because someday we will get tired, someday we will find that it was all hollow, that it was deceptive, that it did not really give us joy. We know in our heart we may be kidding ourselves, deceiving ourselves outwardly. In our heart knows that we are losing our life, we are not getting anything, we are not knowing how to trade it right. So God is saying that don't go against your real nature, which is love, and don't play with this world in which you will regret. Ultimately, even if you fight against this real nature, you will come back, because that is like all rivers coming to ocean. We will simply by suffering, if nothing else, will come back. So let's not go against our nature. Let's always be in harmony while we are in this world. like the whole universe, the animals, the birds, the five elements, how in harmony they have been working. I think man alone has ruined the environment in the last 50 years or maybe 100 years. All these millions of years, Earth had no problem of ruining this environment. Animals never did, animals were always there, trees were there. But when man became greedy, when man, for his pleasures and unlimited pleasures, demanded unlimited things, then he started not only destroying the nature like trees, he would need wood and other, and digging the earth for iron and other things, resources, that he started ruining himself. And this is what Lord says, don't go against your nature, you will be suffering. Your nature is purity, you want to be healthy, and yet what you are doing is unhealthy, and that is what is not right for you to do unless you want to continue to play your mischief. So he recommends in the next slok 34, he says, Indriyasya indriyasyarthe raga dvesho vyavastito tayoho navashamagachet tauhi asya paripantino. Now here first time Lord says, many people ask me why there is a war and why Gita recommends killing of relatives and millions of people were killed. Is Gita teaching violence? Well, Gita first time here very clearly says who our enemy is and who we have to fight. In slok 34 of chapter 3, Gita clearly says, Indriyasya indriyasyarthe raga dvesha vyavastitoho. Attachment and aversion is always built in with the objects of desire and our senses. They always get attached to each other. As soon as you something that eye likes or the ear hears or the nose smells, they have natural attachment because they are part and parcel of the same elements. So the objects of desire and the senses are always attached, and they will have, once you get attached, there will be either attachment, liking or disliking. There is no neutrality unless you realize God. So you will be always either liking, and very soon you will find out that they did not give you what you want, so you will be have aversion or disliking, and you will be always dancing at the tune of liking and disliking. Wherever there is liking, there is bound to be disliking, unless we are talking about God, and wherever there is disliking, again after you get tired you will be coming back, and so we will be dancing only on the waves of this Maya. So Lord says one should not come under the sway, one should not become a slave of these objects of desires that creates in us an unbalanced situation. Either we are happy or we are unhappy. When we are happy, we are only temporarily. Very soon we will be paying the price. And usually the price seems to be always more than the joy we get. So we want to, Lord says, try to balance the life, stay balanced, and then the happiness will come. So Lord says that one should not come under the sway, one should not become a slave of this body and this universe, but try to ride. Don't become a slave of your horse or your things that you think are going to